social contagions.
Social contagions.
How they work and what they are.
All right.
Do you know what a social contagion is?
The first thing that came to mind was that dancing. You know what I'm talking about? Like people couldn't stop dancing in like the 1900s at some point. So I don't know what that was called, but I assume that was a social contagion.
You are correct, and we'll get to that a little bit later on.
All right.
So for an official definition, a social contagion, it's also known as a behavioral contagion, emotional contagion, or mass hysteria. It's a phenomenon in which behaviors, emotions, or beliefs spread rapidly through a group of people, just like the flu would spread amongst a group of people, or a cold, except for it's all in the mind. It's like a psychological infection, you could say. And they often occur in high-stress environments and often involve physical reactions triggered by the mind. So people might all kind of start sneezing. They don't need to sneeze, but their mind is like, let's sneeze kind of a thing. Sneezing. So it's a mind, triggering reaction.
They get hit by sneezes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's ever been one, but it could be.
Sneezy Jesus.
What's that?
Sneezes.
Sneeze. Oh.
Sneezes comes to town.
Heresy.
Yes, it is heresy. All right.
So psychologists note that they're more common amongst people who know each other rather well, like friend groups, classmates, coworkers, and they're often happen in times of uncertainty, anxiety, or just cultural tension. So you're less likely to develop a social contagion with a bunch of strangers, but it could happen.
Okay.
So some common social contagions would be I yawn, and then you yawn.
I yawn.
Because you see me yawning, and then the person next to you yawns. Just kind of our brain and our mind likes to mimic things around us. And that person yawned, maybe we need to yawn too. The same thing happens when somebody claps and then everybody else kind of starts clapping.
Yeah.
You just kind of do it. You might not even realize why you're clapping or really be that enthused about the performance that just ended, but you're going to clap. Same thing, somebody smiles at you, you usually smile back. Somebody starts laughing at the table next to you at dinner, then everybody else kind of starts chuckling or laughing. The same thing can happen with bad moods. So somebody comes into a room, you're getting together, hang out with friends. Someone comes in, they just have a bad, crappy mood. And then everybody else kind of gets a bad mood.
Totally.
As well.
Totally.
Another interesting one was that of scratching or itching. Kind of like somebody's they're like, oh, I got bit by a bunch of mosquitoes. Like, oh, I feel like I have bugs all over me. And then you kind of feel like you have bugs all over you and you're just kind of itching yourself. So those are all just kind of mild examples of common social contagions that we all experience each day. And a lot of that is just due to our mind mimicking people around us. Yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk about some historical social contagion and then a more modern one. So that is the dancing plague of 1518.
Okay.
So older than you thought. So in the year 1518, in Strasbourg, France, a woman named Frau Tropha stepped onto the streets and began dancing uncontrollably.
Fra Stropha.
Frau Tropha.
Fra Tropha.
Trophia. One of those. Never said Frau Tropha. So she began dancing uncontrollably, and she just couldn't stop. She would even dance, and collapse from exhaustion, rest briefly, and then get up and keep dancing. They couldn't keep her from dancing. And within days, more than 30 people in the town joined her. They all just started dancing in the streets, and they weren't happy about it. It's they just felt like they had to dance, a compulsion. And people tried to get them to stop. They're like, no, I must dance. They would get worn out, collapse, revive, get up, start dancing again.
No, I must dance.
And this was people of all ages dancing, so young and old. And within a month, the plague had spread to more than 400 residents of the town. And people were dancing for days on end, even weeks, to the point that some people were experiencing heart attacks, strokes, and even died from exhaustion. And
heart attacks?
Yes.
From dancing?
Yeah.
on the streets.
Nonstop.
Nonstop.
It'd be kind of like you set out to run a ultra marathon and just kept running for 300 miles. They're just getting worn out and like not stopping to eat or drink unless they'd collapse and they feel like they needed to dance again. So local doctors told the city officials that the dancers had hot blood and they just needed to dance it out. That, you know,
that sounds about right.
It's like the black plague, like, oh, it's spread through smells. So let us not smell people, you know.
It's a potpourri going.
Yes. So city officials hired local musicians and cleared out city like tax halls and let people dance there because like, oh, we'll kind of contain them. But then it just caused it to like spread more.
That makes sense.
Because people are like, oh, let's go see what's happening in the dance hall.
Yeah.
And they start dancing too. And there's music to go along with it. So it finally died out over time after literally some people died. And they started separating people, just kind of bringing them to separate places, locking them in rooms and stuff so they're not all dancing in the streets. And it kind of over time just kind of faded away. So historians, they think there could be a variety of reasons. Extreme stress from famines, maybe smallpox, or superstition. Some people thought that they were being cursed by a local saint, and so that they needed to pay penance to him. Oh. But yeah, it just turned into a citywide kind of frenzy, and it's like the earliest documented case of a mass social contagion.
So is this where the movie Footloose kind of comes from?
No, but that's hilarious because Footloose would be kind of an example of a social contagion.
Yeah, it's like I gotta do it.
Yeah, we
gotta dance.
We all gotta dance. Sneak away at night and dance.
That's so interesting.
Very interesting.
So to recap, just for my brain, one person started dancing, Sophia Tofia, whatever her name is, and the rest of the people were like, "Okay, I feel like dancing now that I see somebody dancing," and it led to deaths and like people not being able to go to their jobs or go home.
Just disrupted the whole town
because they were dancing. Can you tell me how many people this affected?
They believe it was over 400.
Over 400 people.
Yes. And there's documentation of like upward of a dozen people were dying a day, and then that just a few people died. So who knows? This happened 600 years ago, but
man, my dad died dancing.
Right? What a wild story!
What a wild story! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a more modern one. I actually watched a little short documentary about this. It's on HBO Max on the TV series. It's called The Curious Case of, and this one is about Leroy High School in New York. So in 2011, at a senior high school in Leroy, New York, in a very small town, there was about 7,000 people in the town, a group of teenage girls suddenly developed involuntary tics, like twitching, jerky movements, kind of weird speech patterns, and outbursts that mimicked Tourette syndrome. And it just spread throughout the school. So there was about like 15 to 20 students. It was affecting almost all girls. Most of them were friends with each other. And they brought these kids to different medical doctors to get their brains scanned, all this stuff, because they're like, maybe some of them had been smoking weed or spice or some like synthetic THC. So they're like, that can create some psychosis. But they did drug tests on them. Nope, that's not the cause of it. And so they brought them to like the New York State Department, did a bunch of investigations on them, and they're like, it's just a social contagion.
Wow.
And they traced it back to, there was actually a girl at that school that had Tourette's since she was like 8 years old. And she was pretty bullied at school and kind of made fun of because she would have these outbursts or kind of swear or jerk weird. And people would make fun of her, but she also got some attention, like from teachers or people noticed her. And so they think there was a little bit of this slight mimicking that happened, even like subconsciously, like, oh, she gets attention. I kind of want that attention.
Yeah.
And it kind of just spread throughout the school. And it happened over like a period of 6 months until they kind of started keeping some of the girls home, like homeschooling them, kind of spreading them out. And then it kind of died away, except for the girl who actually has Tourette's. Still has remained. So that was another interesting one. But they did all sorts of brain scans, and they were like, pretty much, we can't explain it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When was this?
This was in 2011 to 12.
2011 to 2012. So some girls saw a girl with Tourette's in class.
They grew up with her for, 5-6 years. So,
and she was getting attention.
yeah.
And so they naturally developed symptoms of Tourette's. Mm-hmm. This is an example of a social contagion.
Yes.
That you're telling me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It really does make sense. The more you're around people with tics and stuff like that, I would think that you'd start to pick them up in the same way that if you're around somebody who says the same words a lot, like we say nice a lot, we say like okay or interesting a lot, and we just kind of, you probably started that out, and then I kind of picked up more and more of those words, so it makes sense. It's just such an extreme example.
Yes. That
it's a little bit frightening. You can pick up some really negative habits from actually mentally not unwell, but unstable people or unstable people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was several more that this has happened throughout history. One was in 1960s in Tanzania in Africa. Like some girls started just kind of laughing uncontrollably in class, and then it spread throughout the school, and then it spread to surrounding towns. And it was like a period of like a year and a half where people were just like uncontrollably laughing, and kind of spread throughout the country.
Wow.
Just another one of those like social contagions, and could be due to stress, all of that. But we just like to mimic, and it's kind of like an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now, have you ever experienced anything kind of like that?
There's definitely been some like moments at church and stuff where people are laughing or the Holy Spirit's moving, and you kind of start to like feel it or vibe with it. And participate, even though you aren't necessarily feeling that. I know when I was young, that was always a temptation, and sometimes I definitely gave into it. But as far as like an actual social contagion outside of the church, I don't know. I have some tics and stuff like that. Blinking a lot. My older brother did that when we were younger, and so I probably picked that up. And that's been like a lifelong thing I've been trying to get rid of. So I don't think anything extreme, but I definitely get what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like if you're around somebody and they're doing some extreme weird stuff, you're going to be symptomatic if you're around them long enough. Yeah. It's just what's going to happen. And I think you'll probably get to this, but it's just the way humans are made.
Yes.
Because we want to be part of the tribe. We want to be sympathetic and empathetic to what somebody's going through. And so matching body language with the person you're talking to it's supernatural.
Yes.
Like you were going to do that because you're trying to connect, and your body naturally will, somebody has their arms crossed, you'll cross your arms sometimes because you're trying to communicate, and you're sending signals and you're receiving signals even subconsciously through body language. So I think it's just, part of it's just way we're wired.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's pretty much what scientists have come down to say. It's that we're wired. One view is that we're wired just to mimic each other, and kind of, that's how we learn as little kids, is mimicking our parents or those around us, which is why it's really important what you're exposing your children to, different patterns or, behaviors. But also this need or want to be like important or special or noticed, the kind of that can subconsciously happen.
Yeah.
This is a little morbid, a little maybe trigger warning about self-harm. In my high school years, I was probably like 14 years old in my youth group, and there were quite a few people that were girls specifically that were self-harming themselves. And so we would have like these prayer times, and different people would get up and share their testimony. But like the testimony was like, this is all the things I did to myself up until last Tuesday, and now I've stopped. So it wasn't like they were quite free from it. I think testimonies are great when it's like, and I stopped doing this, not just yesterday, kind of a thing. And so throughout the youth group, it started becoming a huge problem that all of these, quite a few girls in the youth group started self-harming themselves. And they had never thought about it before or even heard of it until people are getting up and sharing about their testimonies, to the point we would have like little small groups throughout the church talking about it. And like one girl pulled out a tool that she would use for self-harm. Another girl started using it during the small group discussion.
No way.
And then people get up and share testimonies like, I wanted to, but I didn't. And I went to my, the kitchen at night and I was going to do it, but I decided not to. And it became like a huge problem to the point where they were like, okay, nobody's allowed to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
And so they found scientifically that specifically teenage girls are very susceptible to social contagions and this need to like want to feel connected or important. And like this girl on stage, she's getting a lot of validation from the youth pastor and everybody else. And then they're doing something that they never thought of before that was introduced to them.
I wonder if that's because females are more social than males. Like,
I think so.
I've heard the term like men are interested in things, women are interested in people. And that's not across the board, but statistically that's true. And so at a young age, when you're trying to make friends, trying to fit in, and you see somebody doing this negative thing, but that's the way that you can connect.
Yes.
Maybe that is one of the reasons why teenage girls in general, I don't know, I'm just spitballing.
And it can all be so subconscious. They're not even actively thinking, this is how I can connect.
Totally.
Very crazy.
Very dark example, but very true.
Yes. Which then leads into another controversial thought of, for girls currently in our day and age, teenagers, about 30% of them identify as LGBTQI+.
Right.
And that has to be, in my opinion, more than just everybody was like closeted for all of human history, for it to be such a crazy spike among specifically teenage girls. It's such a quick rate.
Yes.
That there's something to, I never thought about that I could be a boy. But now that's like the people who decide to be boys are like really celebrated and special and have cool communities. So at least I'll be non-binary, Not that there isn't true like gender dysphoria, but I think there's a lot of that. It's a slight social contagion.
Yeah. It's almost like contagious. Well, like you said, social contagion, but it's very empathetic.
Yes.
Contagion. We feel for you. Feel for you so much that we kind of want to be there with you in a sense. I was listening to an interesting radio show about Taylor Swift yesterday, and the fact that she was like single for a long period of time, and now is she married now?
No, she's getting married, I think, this summer, but she's engaged at least.
Engaged to be married, and so happy in being engaged and the whole process up to getting married, it seems. But a lot of people are angry at her because
she was Miss Feminist.
She was Miss Feminist. But at the same time, low key, she was not. Like all of her songs were about, I love this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this didn't work out, or I hate this guy because this didn't work out. Or I'm, some of them were, I'm good enough myself. But a lot of it was, she was known as the heartbreak artist for a long period of time. And now we see people disliking her for getting engaged and going on to be married. But at the same time, they're predicting, people are predicting that there's going to be a huge increase in marriage after she gets married.
Wow.
Because of her audience and the way they follow her. Because the audience slowly turned their ship towards the feminist.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of this. I don't need a man.
I'm a boss babe.
Yeah. And now they're predicting that the the whole ship's going to turn the other direction and be like, where's my man?
Right.
I want my boy.
Or Taylor Swift got her dream. Let's do it too.
Yes. And so it's just the susceptibility of her audience, which I would say is probably teenage to,
30-year-olds.
30-year-old women.
Olds. Yeah.
Yeah. Women specifically. But that just shows you how much sway, even somebody that we aren't around every single day, but we kind of idolize in a way, can have over you and create almost a social contagion by proxy.
Totally.
Which is insane.
Very interesting. And you could even point to like with Taylor Swift as an example, the biggest artist on the planet, I think maybe still currently, the love of her was a social contagion. And almost like, I think that, she almost hit her peak, and I think she'll continue to be popular for quite a while.
Yeah.
But not to the level that maybe she was in the last year or two.
I could see that.
To the point that, people are grown women in their 30s are going to her concerts, weeping, having these like blackout experiences where they leave and are like, I don't even know what happened. I was just
Whoa.
in the experience kind of a thing. People that couldn't get tickets driving to, I know people personally, which is no shade to them, but sitting in the parking lot of the stadium, crying, singing along. There's got to be a little something, social contagion. This wanting to be a part of it. This is important. It's meaningful.
Yes.
And I'm going to miss out if I'm not a part of it.
That plays into everything too, like politics, being part of the radical left or the radical right.
Mass hysteria. Yeah.
Or
like that's another way of saying social contagion. Yeah.
For sure. I'll let you finish before we get
No, that's good. That's all I had.
Okay. But yeah, it's just people want to be part of something and they'll do whatever it takes to be part of that thing. And it makes sense. So we're all just trying to find our clan. We're all just trying to find our people.
I totally understand it. Yeah.
And if you have to be extreme, if you got to dance until you die, you got to dance till you die, baby. Get on the streets, get your shoes on, girl.
Just dance all day.
Dance all night. Dance till you die, which is a Lady Gaga song, I think she just came out with. Maybe it's a tribute to that. But yeah, it's very interesting, the social contagion, a thought that you've brought up and presented, that it's a real thing. And it's cool to see how it ties into politics and Taylor Swift and different things like that. So great job presenting.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
Another thought is like you see a crowd forming and like you just stop to see what's going on.
Totally.
There's even like restaurants or clubs that will hire people to be the ones who start the line.
Really?
So that then people are like, oh, that's a good club to go into because there's 12 people in line outside. Then people will even line up and not even really know what they're lining up for. You go to like a food truck area, like, oh, that one has a pretty big line. But then if you shifted, like you took 20 people and stuck them in front of like the random, seafood truck, that would then become the one that people are going to. We're so like simple as humans.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And it's strange how we've talked about it a couple times, but the people who are kind of defining what we love in our culture and our society are artists. Yeah. They're movie stars.
Yeah.
They are music artists. They're painters. They're architects, whatever. But the people with the most influence today, the ones deciding what we like and dislike, are largely people that they're not like the political leaders.
Yes.
Or the activists or anything like that. And it's just strange to see all these social contagions born out of people who just like to make art.
It really is mainly art. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not upset about it, but it's an interesting fact to look around and be like, oh, all of Tom Cruise's influence comes from the fact that he likes to pretend to be other people in movies.
Yes, and runs really fast.
It runs really fast.
Yeah, like when, I don't remember which Avengers movie it was. One of the one, I don't remember, maybe you do, the one that was like made the most money. It was like a bunch
Probably Endgame.
Yeah, Avengers Endgame or whatever. I remember friends, they're like buying tickets weeks in advance. Like there was showings, like till 2 a.m. I think it broke records and stuff. And I remember watching the movie. I'm like, it was like a fine movie.
It was a good movie.
But it like gained this traction that it's like, oh, people are like, oh, you're going to go see it. Oh, I better buy tickets too. Oh, well, you bought tickets. It's this kind of like, oh, there's a lack of availability. I have to get in on it.
Yeah.
So they made like $2 billion. It was like a fine movie, but maybe not any better than the one before.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Another thing of social contagion.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's kind of like a ladder. It's just, or the trickle down effect of the social contagion.
Yeah.
And then the people in the movie, I saw this the other day, the people who are playing in the movie will get interviewed and people will be like, what's in your pockets every day? Like, what's your everyday carry? And then they just go through and be like, I always have gum.
Yeah.
I always have like lip balm. And it's like,
get 12 million views.
12 million views.
Maybe not that many, but yeah.
And to be totally honest,
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it and I'll be like, that's actually pretty cool. I'm going to do that.
I want to know what's in Tom Holland's pockets.
Because there's a need to connect. There's a need to be part of something. It just makes sense.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of so many different social contagions.
I know,
Yeah.
me too.
It's kind of cool.
Great topic.
Thank you.
Very well presented.